for today. Eric Armstead won't practice, same foot ankle. Samson will be limited, with his quad Achilles, and Trent Williams, not injury related, won't practice. Go ahead.
Can you go over what was happening during the game as far as Jimmy Ward and Charvarius Ward, and I guess Greenlaw left as well? Was it just them being fatigued?
Yeah, two guys were fatigued. I think Greenlaw jammed something and felt better.
Guys, when you do international travel, do you have the option of when to get your bye week or to have your bye week?
I don't think so. Yeah, because I think we'd choose right now.
Yeah, what is the plan for this week, Kyle? Will you dial it back some?
Yeah, definitely. And we've already dialed it back by pushing this day way back. And we got in at like 6:15 on Tuesday, sorry. So we gave the players the whole day off. We had to get it going with the game plan. We got a few extra hours this morning moving this stuff back. So we're starting a lot later, and we'll just walk through the day and kind of mix in Thanksgiving a little bit on Thursday. So we'll dial some things back for that also.
To bounce from Colorado Springs to Mexico and then come back on a short week. Does coming out of the altitude make any, or the fact that you've been in this high altitude, now you're not in it anymore, is there any adjustment for that, or is that just great?
We're out to run forever now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big. We weren't there long enough, but I think that's why I love that people train up there and stuff. So you feel better. I used to always feel better working out over the summer in Denver and then going to Texas. Only lasts like 3 days, so.
There's been a lot of Trey Lance sightings in recent days, recent weeks. Where is he in his rehab, and what's he been? What's his week like? Typical week
It was
these
cool
days.
just get him to travel with us for the first time out in Colorado, so him being in every meeting and being able to go all those places with us, and have him on the Saturday night meeting, or in this case, the Sunday night meeting before the game, so we can go over all the third downs and red zone stuff. So now he's preparing like he's playing, except for everything on the field.
Physically, where is he? I mean, is he able to do anything?
I don't think he's running and stuff. I know he's out of the boot walking around well. I'm not sure exactly where he's at in that, but he's not going real hard at it.
He does, I mean, I'm no expert, but he looks like he's walking pretty well. Is there any chance that if you guys go deep this season that he could serve as the backup?
I haven't been told there's a chance. So I think things would have to be pretty drastic. I mean, we weren't expecting that much from the beginning. I think he's right on schedule with everything. But I've not been told there's a chance.
I think John Lynch was on the radio, and he said that he said coming out of the Chargers game, he said that there was like one missed tackle that entire game, and it's as good as you guys have done since you guys have been here. And it looked pretty similar against Arizona. Just specifically tackling, is this as good as you've seen your team?
Yeah, I mean, definitely statistically, and you feel that way on tape too. It's not just individually, but just guys swarming to the ball, the whole group. So it's very rare that there's one person in the screen. I mean, I like to watch things the night before the game from the end zone copy, and I try to see how many times there's 11 people on the screen, and it's almost every play. We had one missed tackle versus the Chargers, and it was the one time I only got one guy on the screen. It was a 3rd and 8, and he barely got off of it, but it was very fast that 3 other guys showed up, and they still ended up having a punt. So they're playing well together.
As far as the run game, it seemed like earlier in the year there were some plays where it was, one block would prevent it from being a big play, and it feels like it's finally clicking now. Do you think that's just a process of the season, the team clicking? Why do you think things have been more effective?
I mean, I think it helps get your starting running back. I think, losing Elijah early, I think we were running like 7 yards of play at that time. So I think that always is tough when you lose that. Jeff stepped it up well for us. And, now getting Elijah back, adding Christian, we've got a few big ones, and usually evens out, but we had some pretty impressive blocks, just getting those extra ones on Monday night, so it was a pretty cool game for us.
Can you break down the Deebo Samuel run where you guys had a lot of blocks, and what made that play so successful?
We were able to get the edge. When you get the edge and you get outside, it's really tough to get Buddha, who's probably the toughest guy in the block, and the lead to get someone on. And it was really cool that Trent got on him. Probably the only guy who could have. And once we got him, we had a big play, and just how hard the guys were working on the backside allowed us to finish it. And Deebo having that speed, and Ayuk had a really good block on him too.
Yeah,
Brendel had a really good one. He was feeling himself at the end of it. He was feeling, he had some swag at the end of it for a center. So it was a cool play.
Got the salsa dance that we
Yeah, that's good.
About as impressive as blocking.
Yes, definitely. It's probably the least amount that I've been able to go through a game and truly enjoy it, just because we really tried hard to sleep on that plane, so when we woke up, we could start working. So I'm excited to go through it a bunch more with the guys later in the week when it slows down a little bit.
Speaking of reactions after touchdowns, did you see Brandon nailing poor Nick with the?
Yeah, I did. It was hilarious. It was very funny. Glad he wasn't hurt, but I'm glad BA handled it right. Shows that he's a caring person. He wasn't too amped up. It kind of ruined his touchdown dance, but I think he felt bad about it.
Tom, when you put up 38 points and you have so many different guys that contribute in big ways, and you have all these kind of mouths to feed people talk about, is that an organic thing that happens throughout the game, or are you, when you're putting these game plans together, trying to make sure everybody gets their share? How does that work?
I mean, you balance it out to where you have a chance to, where everyone has chances to get the ball, but I mean, that's I don't think it'll ever be like that. I mean, that was just it's like everybody got a B plus, A minus, because everyone did really good, but if someone never does great, then there's not enough for anyone else to, it's gonna take away from someone. And just to watch everyone contribute, all the receivers, the tight end, the running backs, that was just kind of cool how it worked out. And yeah, we'd always like to try to make it that way, but usually the coverages won't allow it, but it kind of just, it was cool. That's why it was so much fun.
On that same token, you threw 21 times to 7 runs in the first half. How much of that was, Arizona likes to do the 6 guys on the line? How much did you kind of adjust in that way to that?
Mainly for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do 6 on the line versus us. I mean, Chargers did the week before. They got to it a different way. But I mean, that's what Arizona did to us last year. And sometimes the best thing to do is to overset. I mean, it makes sense schematically, but I mean, that's also what we did last year coming out. And we had a bunch of yards and a bunch of explosives, but we ended up getting our butts kicked. And so you don't just want to let them dictate that. Also, you can't just throw it every time just because they do that. You still got to somewhat be honest. But we stayed on the field a little bit and got those plays. You saw 2 drives where you go 3 and out and then 4 and out on the next one. And if you're going to keep throwing and stuff, you better make sure it works. 'Cause sometimes it takes time to get going. And the coolest part, our defense held them for the most part. They had 10 points in those, but they didn't run away with it. We didn't turn it over. And usually when that happens, it's a matter of time, and we're able to get it going.
When you got the three straight second half shutout, how much of that is adjustments that you guys make at halftime, or is it just guys executing?
I think the coolest part is, even for the Rams game, it stuck out big to me because, we struggled a little bit versus Kansas City. We came out versus the Rams, and it seemed like they went down the field twice, and we weren't going to be able to stop them. And then we just shut them down in the second half. And when we got on the plane, and you watched that first half, I felt like it was as good as the second half. We just had a couple plays where they got us in. They got us one schematically, and we had a bust on the other. But we were playing that type of football. And then I feel if you watch the last 2 weeks, it's been the same story. I mean, even versus the Chargers, I thought we had a hell of a first half on defense. But when they hit us on a bust on a corner for a touchdown, and they got us going across the field just on a good play call by them. But I kind of feel it's been the same. And if you're playing that way with the right intent, we always talk about, you can see the intent on the silent tape regardless of the score and the stats. And usually when you can see it on the silent tape, it's a matter of time. And we protected the ball, and then when you protect the ball, you don't turn it over, you don't get a lot of penalties. Usually the way you're playing ends up leading to a victory then.
Back to Jake Brendel, but offensive lineman downfield is something that is part of their job description, but not everybody does it. When you see a guy hustling like that, what does it tell you about the kind of buy-in by the offensive lineman, the way everybody's playing?
They better, or they're going to be the weak link. I feel like everyone does it here, so it's not like, it is kind of just our standard. I think our guys enjoy it. When you call a run play, you try to make it the same feeling as calling a go route or a big post or something like that, that every play has a chance to score, and the only way you can look at that at the run game is if all 11 people are involved. So we say the same thing to our quarterback carrying out the fake. You better not sit and watch the scoreboard and enjoy it like everyone else says. You better run and try to buy one person for yourself. So, but it is cool, especially with altitude and stuff like that. Guys were gassed. Everyone was, including me, just walking up to halftime. But guys get a kick out of it when they can run. It's a lot harder than it used to because you can't throw down the field. So sometimes those big guys in space can't really stop.
What are your impressions of the Saints as you're starting to dig into that tape?
What's that?
What are your impressions of the Saints?
I mean, just starting with their defense. I mean, they look like a Dennis Allen team. I mean, they've been to me one of the best defenses in the league here over the last 5 or 6 years. I don't think their numbers are quite there as they usually are, but I think a lot of it has to do with they've been missing about 7 starters a number of these games. But they're as tough and physical and as sound as anyone played this year. Offensively, I mean, starting with Kamara, Taysom Hill, I mean, those two guys right there account for, I think, like half their explosives, half their touchdowns. Andy Dalton's guy I have a lot of respect for. They've lost some close games. They've had some very unfortunate injuries. But I think we got our work cut out for us without a doubt.
When you look at the schedule, and this one's kind of different than the others, you know, the primetime games, you know, the Mexico City followed by, you know, two good teams coming out with the Dolphins and Tampa Bay. Do you have to kind of get your guys honed in on not, you know, making sure that either physically or emotionally there's no letdown in this one?
Yeah, I think you always do. I think what helps is the tape. I mean, New Orleans is a very good team. I don't have to make that up. You just got to turn the tape on and watch it. And but I do think always come. You know, I mean, it was a lot of energy last week. You got to be aware of that. I mean, it is usually traveling. It was. I mean, just getting back as late as we did. You always got to throw in, which we do every year, the deal with Thanksgiving, which doesn't change up much. But a lot of those guys have family members at home who are on their vacation, and so I got to remind some of these young guys that it's their vacation. This is your job, so don't feel guilty when you don't hang out with your uncle late at night. You can hang out with him on Sunday night. He's just chilling, doesn't have stuff to do, but you don't come to his job and yell at him to come home early and hang out with you. So sometimes you got to explain that stuff to young guys, which I've seen affect some people. So you bring that stuff up, all this stuff this week, and I think we got a mature group. They understand the deal, but we are working to get our bodies back.
New Orleans not only used two quarterbacks, but in one series they were like alternating them almost. One, Dalton would come out and Hill would go in. How unusual is that? And do you even look at Hill much as a quarterback, or is he just an athlete that did they do different things with?
Different things with. I mean, there's things they're not going to do with Andy Dalton, and for the majority of it, it's a wildcat type quarterback. But you can't say that fully, because if you treat it as a wildcat quarterback, they have the adjustments to get some people open. But it starts with when he's in there stopping with the run. I mean, he's explosive, he's strong, and I think they're the #1 short yardage team in the league, and pretty much because it starts with him.
Does having 3 straight home games increase the likelihood that Javon could come off of IR and play in one of these upcoming games?
Yeah, anytime we don't fly, it definitely helps him. So yeah, that does help.
How important has Kevin Givens been in Javon's absence and in Eric's absence inside?
He's been huge. I mean, you know, some of the depth we lost early on with Eric, Javon, even go back to Maurice and training camp. Kevin's had a lot more put on his shoulders, and when you do that, I mean, Kevin always plays well. You just worry about them guys wearing down as the year goes. And right when I started to feel like he might doing that, I thought he had a hell of a game this week and made some big plays, and he's been able to take care of his body so he can handle this kind of thing that's been put on him, and he's had a hell of a year for us.
Kyle, I assume you'll be working tomorrow and are responsible for having to cook. Well, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
I like the green bean casserole and my mom's noodles. My wife's green bean casserole, my mom's noodles. Both of them.
How cool it was to see all those fans waiting for you guys at the hotel in Mexico City, and then on game day, all the support, it almost felt like they were here at Levi Stadium.
Oh, it was awesome. Like, I know I said that after the game, and when we entered the stadium, it felt like a Super Bowl, because we got in there late at night, everything was roped off, but the lobby was packed, and there was everyone going and yelling, and I could tell we got in pretty late. The game was the next day, and right when we did, I could feel our players were into it. We had our team meeting right after, and that kind of started it off, and it only got better until we left, so that was real cool.
Did you enjoy not answering as many questions from us and more from the international media?
I loved it. I thought it was my second favorite part behind the win. Sometimes I struggle to understand it though, so that's what I was nervous about. But those guys, they were much nicer to me than you guys are.
We enjoyed it too.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.